Well, this is Devon Blackwood, your student in Interpersonal Relationship course. This evening I'll be presenting on the PowerPoint project. And what we'll be looking at this evening, of course, is the introduction and identification of overarching goal and enlarging the conversation, description of behavioral blend, defining potential barriers and how to deal with each one, and of course identifying and providing solutions to noise pollution, both internal and external, and a plan of action, of course, for my overarching goal to improve my interpersonal communication skills. And what we have here is a definition according to Stewart, who wrote the book on interpersonal relationship and communication. He said that interpersonal communication is what happens when people involve talk and listen in ways that maximize the presence of the personal. And I'm looking here, Dr. Cornwell, at my laptop mostly, because right here it's a little dark on the wall because the screens on the projector is giving us problems all evening. So that communicators are always both talking and listening, sending and receiving, giving off cues and taking them in according to the offer. And of course, Wood in 2011 wrote, interpersonal communication could be defined as a selective, systematic process that allows people to reflect and build personal knowledge of one another and create shared meanings. My overarching goal is really to become more keen on listening without thinking in my head what I like my response to be. This, of course, will help me become more attentive to what others are saying and to ensure that I will not cut them off before they are finished. And this, in fact, I think is very important. The quality of your communication affects the quality of your life, as this relates to how we enlarge our conversations in our interpersonal arena. And these are things that is very important to understand. But the quality of our communication does affect the quality of our life. And the most influential communication events are conversations. And Stewart said that. There's a direct link between the quality of your communication and the quality of your life. And how do we influence the process of enlarging our conversations? Well, first of all, we have to go through the process of perception. And perception have three different processes: selecting, in which people decide at some level of consciousness which cues to pay attention to, according to Stewart, and then organizing, people actively participating in perception by organizing their cues, the cues they select, and inferring, going beyond sensory cues to your own interpretation. And description of the background, behavioral blend, and influence of my conversation, both positive and negative. Well, just a little bit about my background. I was born in England. I was taught to be respectful, and in fact I am a respectful individual. And I was taught to be empathetic, encouraged to always speak my mind, and I have a nurturing mother who communicates very well. And based on my background, these are the greatest influential factor in how I communicate and converse with others. However, some of the negative things pretty much have an accent, so I'm always self-conscious. And also stereotypes, I've got to be careful of stereotypes and take people's feelings into consideration. Sometimes I should simply be more assertive. So in other words, I try to take other people's feelings into consideration and not be as assertive as I should. I'm not a pushover, of course, but I need to be a little more assertive and tell people what I feel. In regards to our book and study on Corbinells and the personality type, active, outgoing, passive, and reserved, I am more active, people-oriented. That's really why I'm in the field of counseling and psychology. I'm a people person, so every day I listen to people and I do the best I can to communicate to others in a very effective way. Again, as I said, that I'm more active, people-oriented, inspiring, influencing, inducing, impressing, interactive, and interested in people. And all of that goes pretty much into my behavioral blend and how I communicate and how I converse to people and how well I listen. Of course, defining potential barriers. 1, external distractions. So I'm working really on finding a quiet place to listen and communicate rather than try to do so in a noisy setting, especially when people might be in crisis or they want to talk right away. Sometimes the setting might not really be the best at that particular time. And also language barriers, practicing more keen listening skills and politely asking people to repeat themselves if I really haven't understood what they have said. So individuals who might have an accent or might be talking a little fast, I'm working on helping them to slow down just a little bit. Taking turns, I will exercise more dire patience and not allow thoughts in my head to override the importance of active listening. Self-disclosure, I have a difficult time disclosing certain information because of trust issues. So I'm really trying to work on picking and choosing people who are safe. And in fact, these barriers, I reckon, that relates to a lot of other people in society who might have some of these same things. What is noise pollution? Well, of course, it's a form and level of environmental sound that is generally considered likely to annoy, distract, or even harm other people. And there could be external, of course, or internal noise pollution, like hearing what you want to hear, biased listening, personal problems that could be going on at the time in someone, boredom in the conversation piece or at that moment, which affects the ability to listen. Identifying and providing solutions to noise pollution. I will practice active listening skills, wait until the person is finished, speaking before interrupting, ask if the person has finished so I don't jump to conclusions and assume that they're finished, find a safe, quiet place in which to engage, especially if it's something sensitive or serious, and even decide if I'm ready to engage in a conversation based on what's going on with me emotionally. Perhaps at the time I might not be ready to engage and just really need to let the person know. But, you know, maybe a little later on might be a better time. A plan of action for my OAG, my overarching goal. Mindful listening, according to Stewart on page 186. A good listener can be defined as one who is mindful of a wide spectrum of listening skills that include accurate receiving, retaining information, sustaining attention, attending to your own speech, and encouraging the person you are listening to. And my plan of action is to be more aware of my own body language, what's going on in my head as others share, and to make sure I'm not thinking ahead of myself before they are finished. Those are the kind of goals that I definitely want to work on. Thank you so much, Dr. Cornwell, for being such an absolute excellent, very patient, very kind professor doing this course, and I've learned so much. Thank you very much.